to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by Losico. And I guess we are meeting after a very long time now. So really sorry for the delay, everyone. But now we'll be continuing this. So let's see which all articles, news updates, and legal news we'll be seeing today. So there are two editorials that we'll be covering. Both are from the Indian Express. The first one is Incarceration of Under Trials, a Human Rights Crisis. So basically, this talks about the overcrowding of the prisons in India, which definitely is a very big problem. We have already been discussing about it a lot, but specifically in the times of COVID-19 and the overcrowding, how much has it become a problem will be discussed here. The second one is again from the Indian Express, which is titled as Combative Federalism Between the Center and the State. So this is regarding the new rules that the center has come up regarding the Indian administrative services, and why are these troublesome for the states will be discussed here. Then we have the news update segment where we'll have the crisp and small news, which will be very important for a prelims exam. And then we have the legal news updates as well. So this is the first article here, which talks about the incarceration of the under trials. By incarceration, please understand that here we mean putting up in jail or confining somebody in a jail. That process is called as incarceration. So why this entire thing is into news is because the mass incarceration, that is the putting up or confinement of people in mass numbers of the under trials. Now, definitely the under trials are those against whom the cases are still pending in the courts of law and still they have not been convicted by the court. So the mass incarceration of the under trials during the pandemic has created a humanitarian crisis in the overcrowded places. So here, this basically says that there has been a 31.8% increase in the incarceration of under trials. Now, can you understand that specifically in the times of COVID-19, when we are to practice physical distancing to keep ourselves safe from this virus, there has been undeterred putting up of people has been increased to 31.8% in the jails. So the prisons have not completed their vaccination drives as yet, and more than 70% of the under trial incarcerated are from the marginal communities, which means that it makes them even more vulnerable to these areas because they might not be very well on their health, finance, as well as and other resources as the other section of the society are, and that is why it is not very much what we can say humanitarian if at all we crowd up the prisons like that, and specifically if we do it for the under trials. So further increase in the incarceration due to individuals breaking the lockdown laws. So it was specifically, more because of course there was a lockdown and many people had, the tent to break the laws. And in that case, a lot of them went to prisons again. And in 2019, there were 29,469 such cases. Can you imagine that these many people are just because, they broke rules of the lockdown, they are suffering into these prisons. See, definitely there has to be a legal system for them as well. But there has to be quantum of punishment which is very much appropriate and in balance with the kind of crime or kind of offense someone has committed. Now here, if we are crowding up the people in the jails, it definitely makes it very much riskier for their lives as well. So the rates of custodial deaths have also grown up by 7% in 2020, and the PIL appeals to decongest the prisons by taking health-centric approach were also rejected. And if we talk about the special conditions, if we talk about that of pregnancy, so in May 2021, Delhi High Court stated that pregnant under trials would be released, but this kind of exemption or relief was not available to the foreign citizens even if they were pregnant. So the bureaucratic approach to the HPCs, that is, the prison authorities and the prison committees, the high-powered committees, it should be reviewed, and the low release rates of the incarcerated individuals under trial and the further custodial death needs to be stated as a humanitarian crisis, and definitely we need to do something in this regard. Now, the second article precisely talks about the changes that the center has proposed in the Indian Administrative Services Cadre Rules of 1954, and this has specifically sparked conflict between the center and the states. So basically, this, according to this, if at all this proposed change is brought, so the center will be able to move the IAS officers from the states anytime it wants, and for that purpose, the permission of states would not really be required. Now, definitely, this step is not liked or appreciated by the state governments because this will create a complete ruckus and a complete vacuum in their bureaucracy. And that is why this has brought the center and various states in a state of tussle. Now let's see that why the center and the states are at these loggerheads. So the amendment will take away the power of the states to deny consent to hand over the civil servants, now as we were just discussing. And in case of the opposite opinions, the center's verdict shall be held as final. So if at all there is a clash, so whatever the center will say, that will be held as the final verdict. Now this is another shift of India's towards combative federalism. Now here, when we talk about the federal structure, yes, of course, India is a federal country, but what we should strive to become is a cooperative federalism and not a competitive or a combative federalism. And in this situation, when the center and the states are fighting over the same issue, or there is a particular resource that both of them want, and instead of sharing it, one wants it more than the other, that makes us stand in the situation of a combative federalism. So the states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Telangana have objected to the said amendment. Now let's see what have been the step towards collaborative federalism. So the center and the state governments, they should work together, and that is exactly what was envisaged when the Indian Constitution was drafted. And there have been several examples where the center and the states have come at tussle, wherein they gave this article has given the example of Governor of Arunachal Pradesh that had advanced elections in 2016, leading to huge political crisis. Then we have Kerala that had also witnessed proactive measures from the CBI and investigative agencies driven with political intent. Then also the battle of the NCT Delhi, that is the National Capital Territory of Delhi, is still waging between two governments despite the intervention of the Supreme Court. In Rajasthan, Goa, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Puducherry, so many states and union territories have actually seen this tussle between the center and the states. With this, let's move further to the news updates for the day. First is the central sector scheme SMILE, support for marginalized individuals for livelihood enterprise. So basically, this is the full form of SMILE, that is support for marginalized individuals for livelihood and enterprise. So the scheme provides comprehensive welfare and rehabilitation measures to the transgender community and to the people who are engaged in begging. So you have to understand that this is associated with two things. Firstly, people engaged in begging and those that are in the transgender community. So this is a pilot project for the comprehensive rehabilitation that shall be carried out in Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Indore, Lucknow, Mumbai, Nagpur, Patna, and Ahmedabad. The second one is the National Health Authority, under its flagship scheme of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, has announced the integration with the health app of the government, that is the Aarogya Setu app. So now the National Health, the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission and Aarogya Setu app will come together. So the NHA and that has announced that it shall incorporate this Aarogya Setu app with Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Third, we have koalas that have been enlisted now as endangered species. So earlier, the koala bear, the koalas, which we, the very cute animals, very beautiful looking animals. So they were abandoned animals that were found in Australia. But since we know from the previous 2 years, we have heard a lot about the repeated forest fires and the bushfires and the drought and the land clearing in Australia, due to which the eucalyptus is a kind of a tree. So due to which the eucalyptus rich environment that harbored koalas have now been destroyed. And that is why they have been further affected by the STDs like chlamydia, which causes cysts and blindness in the koalas. So then we have ISRO PSLV C52 lifts off with Earth observation and 2 small satellites. So this is the ISRO's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, that is PSLV. It was launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, and it carried with it the observation satellite EOS, that is Earth Orbiter Satellite 04, along with payloads Inspire Sat-1 and INS-2D. So this marks ISRO's first space mission in 2022, and let's wish all the best to the Indian space science and Indian space missions in the coming year. And the fifth news that we have today in News Update is that former Indian footballer Papanna passes away. So former Indian footballer M. Prasannan Papanna passes away at 73. He was a gifted midfielder and played for Kerala, Maharashtra and Goa in the Santosh Trophy National Football Championship. He was also part of the Indian team coached by P.K. Banerjee and a member of the squad captained by Inder Singh in the Mirdaka Cup in 1973. Now, finally, let's conclude our discussion with the legal news for the day. So, UP government has been pulled up by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was alarmed at how the new law imposed by the Uttar Pradesh government has no provisions for remedial appeal. Basically, Justice Chandrachud noted that all the actions taken were in direct violation of the previous judgment of the Supreme Court in this regard, and both justices have warned the UP government of disciplinary action and have ordered to withdraw all the notices that were issued for the matter of the CAA protest, that was a Citizenship Amendment Act. And second, Delhi High Court appoints Justice Gita Mittal to run the TTFI. TTFI basically is the Table Tennis Federation of India. So recently, the Delhi High Court has appointed Justice Gita Mittal as the chairperson of the Committee of Administrators to conduct the affairs of the Table Tennis Federation of India. Now, this development comes in response to the match fixing allegations that were put against a national coach, Soumyadeep Roy, made by the TT player Manika Batra. So this was all for the day. Thank you so much for joining in. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you wish to download the PDF of today's slides, you can join our Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box below, or you can scan this QR code that you can see on the screens right now. Also, for other content, please do not forget to follow us on our official Instagram channels for Judiciary, CLAT Prep, UGC Net, and Law Finance exams. Thank you so much.